Well, according to the Kelly Blue Book, the average price of a new car hit an all-time high, and used car prices month over month were down 1.1%. Get this, $50,000 is the average cost.
That's about 93% more than the price of a used car, which will put you back $26,000.
Brand new cars, fresh off the lot, still smelling like the showroom, and owners are dumping them as fast as they can. We went through 18 million transactions, and what we found should scare anyone who is about to sign a car deal. One SUV has a 28% first-year resale rate. That means nearly 1 in 3 people who bought it brand new turned right back around and got rid of it. One Jeep is losing value so fast that owners are panicking, watching thousands of dollars disappear in the first few months alone. And 3 models from the same luxury brand made this list. Back to back to back. These are not old cars. These are not used cars. These are brand new vehicles that people saved for, got approved for, drove home feeling good about. And then something happened. Something the dealership never mentioned. Something the commercials never showed. Something that only reveals itself after you have already signed the paperwork. So before you buy anything, before you step foot on any lot, you need to ask yourself one question. Is the car you are about to buy an investment in your future? Or is it someone else's way out of theirs? Here is what nobody is saying out loud. People are not dumping these cars because they broke down on the highway. They are not dumping them because of some factory defect that made the evening news. They are dumping them because the car they drove home and the car they actually live with every single day turned out to be different. That gap between the showroom and the driveway is costing buyers thousands, and the data makes it impossible to ignore. We analyzed 18 million transactions to build this list, and the single most telling number in all of that data is not the price. It is not the horsepower. It is not the star rating on some manufacturer website. It is the first-year resale rate. That is the percentage of buyers who purchased a brand new vehicle and then turned around and sold it before 12 months were up. That number tells you something no commercial ever will. It tells you what ownership actually feels like once the excitement wears off and real life sets in. One SUV on this list carries a 28% first-year resale rate. Nearly 1 in 3 buyers gone within a year on a brand new vehicle. Think about what that actually means. These are not impulse buys at a grocery store. These are $50, $60, $70, sometimes over $100,000 decisions. Signed paperwork, monthly payments, insurance policies. And still, 1 in 3 walked away before the first year was up. 3 vehicles from the same luxury manufacturer made this list back to back to back. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern built into how those cars are designed, marketed, and sold to people who deserved better information before they ever sat down across from a salesperson. There are 3 traps that keep showing up underneath every single car on this list. The first is the identity trap. Buying a car that looks right on paper but answers the wrong question entirely. The second is the badge trap. Paying a premium for a logo and then discovering the reality behind it does not come close to matching the price. The third is the expectation gap. Believing what the marketing told you instead of what the actual ownership data was screaming the entire time. Different brands, different price points, different buyers. One pattern running underneath all of it. This is not random dissatisfaction. This is not a string of bad luck hitting people who should have known better. This is a system. And once you see how it works, every single car on this list starts making perfect sense. Let's start at number 14. And this one is going to surprise you. Because the Mazda CX-70 is actually a good car. Owners talk about the interior like it belongs in a BMW or a Lexus. The inline-six engine is smooth. The steering feels sharper than you would expect from something this size. On paper, this car checks every single box. So why did nearly 1 in 4 buyers sell it within the first year? Identity crisis. The CX-70 is essentially the CX-90 with the third row removed. Same body, same footprint, same $54,000 price tag. And the moment buyers realize that, the regret sets in fast. The conversation happening online right now is brutal. Why did I buy the 70 when I could have just folded the seats down in the 90? That is a rough question to be asking yourself after you have already signed the paperwork. Then, there is the transmission jerkiness at low speeds, a wireless charger that overheats your phone without actually charging it, and a start-stop system that cuts the engine while the car is still rolling. Small things. But at $54,000, small things feel very large, very fast. A good car that answers the wrong question is still the wrong car. Number 13 is the Mitsubishi Mirage G4. And this one hits differently because the price is under $20,000. How dangerous can a $20,000 car really be? Dangerous enough to make this list. The Mirage G4 is one of the cheapest new cars you can buy in America right now. And that price is exactly why people buy it, and exactly why they leave it. Here is the core problem. This car was not built for American highways. Owners describe merging onto the freeway or trying to pass a semi-truck as genuinely nerve-wracking. People have flat out said they felt unsafe at highway speeds. That is not a minor complaint about cup holder placement. That is a fundamental problem with a car that is supposed to get you to work and back every single day. And when you are not white-knuckling the on-ramp, you are dealing with cabin noise so relentless that long trips become exhausting. Owners describe it as driving a tin can at 70 miles per hour. Over 8% of Mirage G4 buyers resold within the first year on a car that costs under $20,000 to begin with. The cheapest car on the lot is not always the safest bet. Number 12 is the Nissan Leaf. The story here is not about a bad car. It is about a car that got left behind. The Leaf was a pioneer, one of the first mainstream electric vehicles to reach regular buyers at a real price point. For a while, that was enough. It is outdated now. The technology has aged out. The range is limited. The charging standard is outdated. Newer electric vehicles coming from every direction have simply passed it by. Owners who bought the Leaf expecting a capable, modern electric vehicle got a reality check fast. Winter driving alone can slash the already modest range so severely that owners found themselves stranded in situations they never once anticipated. And then, the depreciation hit. As electric vehicle prices dropped across the entire market, Leaf owners watched their resale value evaporate in real time. The Leaf had its moment. That moment has passed, and the data proves it. 3 Mercedes models in a row, numbers 11, 10, and 9 on this list, all wear the same 3-pointed star. And before you assume that is a coincidence, understand that it is not. It is the same core failure repeating itself at 3 different price points, dressed up in 3 different body styles, sold to 3 different types of buyers who all walked away with the same regret. The pattern starts the moment you sit inside any of them. Hard plastics in places that have no business being hard on a $50,000 vehicle. An infotainment system that looks impressive in the showroom and frustrates you every single day you live with it. Screens that freeze. Voice commands that mishear simple instructions. Tasks that should take 1 button press are now buried 4 taps deep inside a menu nobody asked for. And a ride tuning that prioritizes sport over comfort sounds exciting until you are grinding through your morning commute on rough roads every single day. Number 11 is the Mercedes CLA. It starts around $50,000, sits on an entry-level platform, and shows it the moment you are inside. The hard plastics are there. The infotainment frustrations are there. And here is the number that tells the whole story. A Mazda 3 or a Honda Civic delivers a better interior feel, a smoother driving experience, and more day-to-day satisfaction for almost half the price. When buyers figure that out, and they always figure that out, they do not stick around. Over 20% of CLA buyers were gone within the first year. Number 10 is the Mercedes GLA. Entry point into compact luxury at $48,500. And entry level is exactly the right phrase. Those plastics start creaking within the first few thousand miles. In any other car, that is annoying. In a Mercedes, it feels like a betrayal. Buyers crossing over from Toyota or Honda, expecting that smooth, premium experience, are genuinely caught off guard by how the GLA actually feels once the new car excitement disappears. Nearly 17% were resold within the first year. The badge alone is not worth $48,500. Number 9 is the Mercedes GLB. Most practical of the three. Boxy shape, real cargo space, and optional third row. On paper, it makes sense. And yet, 21% of GLB buyers were gone before the first year was up. The expectation gap here is the sharpest of all three. Buyers went in thinking they were getting a scaled-down version of a proper Mercedes SUV. What they got was something where the difference in refinement was significant and very obvious once they actually lived with it. Some stepped up to the GLE, others left the brand entirely. 3 models, 3 price points. 1 pattern. The badge was always more expensive than the car. Now we move into territory where the price tags get serious and the disappointments get expensive. Because numbers 8, 7, and 6 on this list are not entry-level mistakes. These are performance promises that cost real money and failed to deliver in ways that sent buyers running before the first year was finished. Number 8 is the BMW 5 Series, one of the most storied sports sedans ever built. Decades of reputation, a loyal following that stretches across generations of driving enthusiasts, and buyers are bailing before month 12. That alone should tell you something is seriously wrong. The 2024 to 2025 redesign made a decision that alienated the exact people who loved this car most. Physical controls are largely gone. Climate, audio, nearly every function now lives behind a touchscreen, or what BMW calls the interaction bar. Longtime fans who saved up for that classic driver-focused cockpit are sitting inside something that feels more like operating a tablet than driving a car. The connection is gone. The feel is gone. And then beyond the technology, there is a character problem that runs even deeper. The new 5 Series is bigger, heavier, and more comfort-oriented than everything that came before it. Enthusiasts are calling it a Mini 7 Series, and they do not mean that as a compliment. Buyers who wanted sharp and connected found soft and bloated. Many dropped down to the 3 Series. Others jumped ship to Porsche entirely. At nearly $68,000, over 13% were gone within year 1. That is an expensive lesson in misplaced expectations. Number 7 is the Jaguar F-Pace. And this one comes down to a single word: uncertainty. Jaguar has walked away from its entire existing lineup to reinvent itself as an all-electric brand. That means F-Pace owners are not just watching their car lose value. They are holding a vehicle from a brand that no longer exists in the form they bought into. That uncertainty destroys resale value faster than almost any mechanical problem ever could. Smart owners are getting out while the numbers still make some sense. The infotainment still trails BMW and Mercedes noticeably at $60,000. And when the brand itself is in question, it is very hard to stay committed to the car. Over 1 in 8 F-Pace buyers were out the door before the year was up. Number 6 is the Porsche Macan. And here is where the story gets interesting, because the Macan is genuinely a great car. Owners love the PDK transmission. They love the way it drives, more like a tall sports car than a traditional SUV. So why did 22% of buyers sell within the first year? 2 reasons: maintenance costs that blindside buyers at the very first service visit, and strategic buyers who purchase the Macan specifically to build a dealer relationship and earn an allocation for a more exclusive Porsche model. Once that goal is achieved, the Macan gets flipped fast. Excellent engineering, but it is an expensive reality. The math catches up either way. Before we get to the top 2, we need to talk about the cars that do not fail dramatically. No single catastrophic moment, no engine seizing on the highway, no headline-worthy disaster that justifies the decision to walk away. These are the cars that fail quietly, consistently, repeatedly, until the owner runs out of patience and absorbs the financial hit just to be done with it. Number 5 is the Land Rover Discovery Sport, and it carries the highest first-year resale rate on this entire list, 28%. Nearly 1 in 3 buyers gone within year 1 on a brand new $55,000 vehicle. Let that number sit for a moment, because that is not a minor dissatisfaction stat. That is a mass exit happening in real time. The reliability issues are not internet rumors. They are documented, consistent, and brutally predictable. But here is what makes the Discovery Sport story different from a simple breakdown. It is never one catastrophic failure that pushes owners over the edge. It is the accumulation. A warning light here, a sensor fault there, then the first dealership visit, then the second, then the third, all within the first 6 months, all on a car that cost $55,000. That slow drip of small problems chips away at your confidence in a way that one big failure never could. Because one big failure feels like bad luck. 3 dealership visits in 6 months feels like a pattern you cannot ignore. Most of those owners walking away are leaving serious money on the table after first-year depreciation. Reliability does not have to fail dramatically to destroy your confidence. It just has to fail consistently. Number 4 is the Range Rover Evoque, arguably the most visually striking compact luxury SUV on the market right now. The coupe roofline, the sleek silhouette, the Range Rover badge turning heads everywhere it goes. And then you drive it home and reality introduces itself. That gorgeous roofline that makes the Evoque so visually stunning also kills rear visibility completely. The rear seats, while technically making it a 5-seater, are barely usable for any real adult passenger. Buyers discover this the first time they try to put someone back there. And this is still a Land Rover. So the electronic hiccups arrive early and often, rattling owner confidence before the new car smell has even faded. A lot of Evoque buyers are first-time luxury SUV shoppers who fell hard for the design and discovered that day-to-day ownership at $58,000 is a very different experience than a weekend test drive. Over 16% resold within year 1. Style is great. Substance matters more. Number 3 is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. The hype was real. The marketing was powerful. The Mustang name carried serious weight going in. And then reality arrived, and it arrived fast. Electric vehicle prices across the entire market kept dropping. Ford itself slashed prices on new models, and owners who bought in at peak hype watched their resale value shrink almost overnight while they were still making payments on the thing. Then came the real-world frustrations that no test drive prepared them for. Charging inconvenience disrupted daily routines. Winter range loss caught owners completely off guard in ways that felt like a betrayal by the technology itself. Software issues required dealer visits on a car that was supposed to represent the absolute cutting edge. Buyers who stretched to get in at the top of the market found themselves holding a rapidly depreciating asset in a shifting landscape and made the decision to exit before the losses got any worse. The Mustang name could not save it. The data made that perfectly clear. Number 2 is the Land Rover Discovery. We are down to the final 2. And what comes next redefines expensive in ways that follow people for years. Full size. Average transaction price pushing $77,000. And if you have been paying attention, you already know where this is going. The Discovery Sport showed you the pattern. The full-size Discovery amplifies it at nearly twice the price. The service experience is a recurring nightmare. It is not uncommon for a Discovery to spend more time at the dealership in its first year than in the owner's driveway. Sensor warnings, electrical gremlins, minor issues that individually seem manageable until you are paying $77,000 and those minor issues have kept your car in the shop for weeks. Reliability concerns at this level do not just frustrate owners, they destroy brand confidence entirely. Nearly 14% resold within year 1. At that price, those are some of the most expensive exits on this list. At $77,000, you expect a vehicle that works. What you get is a vehicle that keeps you guessing. Number 1 is the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. The biggest regret buy of the year. Not even close. $90,000 to $110,000 fully loaded. 4 problems are hitting simultaneously. Brutal fuel economy costs. Depreciation is so aggressive that owners watch thousands of dollars evaporate within months. Massive payments stacked on high insurance. And reliability complaints are arriving early on a vehicle that promised luxury. Massive price. Brutal depreciation. Poor fuel economy. Reliability questions nobody asked at the dealership because the showroom made everything feel too good to question. So, what is the actual lesson hiding underneath all 14 of these cars? Because we have covered a lot of ground. A $20,000 economy car that felt unsafe on the highway. 3 luxury sedans from the same brand failing buyers at every price point. Performance icons that lost their identity in a redesign. Reliability nightmares dressed up in premium badges. And 2 vehicles at the top of this list that turned 6-figure purchases into some of the most expensive regrets in the entire market. Different brands, different price points, different buyers. One pattern running underneath all of it. Emotion walked in. Math got ignored. The regret showed up on schedule. 3 traps built every single outcome on this list. The identity trap caught buyers who chose a car that looked right but answered the wrong question entirely. The badge trap caught buyers who paid for a logo and discovered the reality behind it did not come close to justifying the price. The expectation gap trap caught buyers who trusted the marketing over the ownership data that was available to them the entire time. The fix is not complicated. Research first-year resale rates before you ever take a test drive. Calculate total cost of ownership, including insurance, fuel, maintenance, and depreciation before you sit across from any salesperson. And separate the car completely from your identity because the data is unmistakably clear on this point. The vehicles that hold their value were bought as transportation. The ones filling this list were bought as statements. The difference between those 2 decisions is everything. 14 cars, 14 versions of the same hard lesson. The showroom experience and the ownership experience are 2 completely different things. And the gap between them is costing buyers thousands of dollars they are never getting back. From a $20,000 Mirage that could not handle a highway to a $110,000 Grand Wagoneer that could not justify its price tag, the pattern never changed. The badge was too appealing. The monthly payment felt manageable. The data was available and nobody looked at it. That ends today. Before you step foot in any dealership, download the free ebook, Avoid These 17 Cars in 2026. Depreciation charts showing exactly which vehicles hold value and which ones crater. Reliability scores pulled from real owners. the specific models mechanics see on their lifts week after week. Link is in the description. Download it, read it, then negotiate. These 14 cars already cost their owners enough. Do not let the next one be yours.